Everybody says you got to pick sides. No, this is not one for the public to take sides. It's for the government to get their head out of their ass and make things right.
Welcome back to Northern Perspective, everyone. I'm Cypher.
And I'm Fox. Today was supposed to be version 2.0 of the 1 Million March for Kids. It was supposed to be bigger and better than the original, but unfortunately it wasn't.
All across Canada, it seems that representation was significantly down from the first march. This was likely due to a couple of factors. One, it was not a nice day out. It was rainy in some cities, and most others it was cold. 2, we've heard reports of more scheduled pro-Palestine demonstrations tomorrow, which detracted a large amount of protesters that were present in the first march. 3, we hate to say it, but this time around it was not well organized.
Last-minute cancellations, difficulty finding information about your area, and last-minute location changes made it very difficult for people to find a place to go.
We don't want to criticize too much because the organizers that did make an effort, we do want to say that your efforts are deeply appreciated. We made the drive all the way out to Hamilton, Ontario to see how that event unfolded, and we were able to speak with one of the key organizers. Let's hear what she had to say.
What the purpose of these events is to bring awareness that the parents have a right to choose how they raise their children, that it should not be the school that's taking over, and that things such as sexuality are something that are worked with at home. It's because the parents are being trampled on, their rights are being trampled on, and the children are being forced into gender identity and gender expression through the schools. And that is the objection. If people want to be trans, that is up to them. There's no anti-anything here. There's no hate. We're not anti-anybody.
So that was a lot that Lucille had to say, and I can't say we really disagree with any of it. She talked about the fact that there is no hate at these protests. There never has been.
No, but it's just an easy thing for the opposing team, if you want to call them that, and the media to latch onto to try to rile people up. Oh, these people, they hate, LGBTQ+. They hate us. They don't want us to exist, etc., etc., etc. And it's not true. It's a tactic, really, is what it is, to try to falsely bring people to your side by lying about the other side.
Well, and it's all the left has, right? You hear in the House of Commons, the Liberals are just using scare tactics to try and scare people away from the Conservatives now. Not to bring anybody to their side. They're trying to scare them away by saying, the Conservatives are going to cut everything. So when it comes to the march, all they have to say is, they hate LGBT people, which they don't. Nobody has a problem with it.
And again, it was a small march in Hamilton, and I think we probably spoke to every single person that was there, not necessarily on camera, but just as we were kind of milling about and talking to people, and nobody was angry. Nobody was hateful. They weren't even shouting slogans or anything at the opposite side. They just wanted to make their point. Yeah.
They just wanted to be visible and let people know that they disagreed with this. And, I will say we actually ran into one of our viewers out there. That was kind of neat that somebody actually recognized the logo and said, "Hey, I watch your channel." So that was kind of neat. We made him vow that he would not reveal what we look like and
not tell you all how ugly we actually are.
That's right. So, there is nothing malicious about what the parents there were standing for. And I'm pretty confident I can say that was the case for all of the marches across Canada.
We did want to commit to being objective and tried to get some of the counter-protesters to state their opinions. Cypher braved the other side of the fence and tried to talk to them. This is how it went.
So this is Cypher here with Northern Perspective. The interesting thing is that I've asked about 50 people and no one wants to talk to me. I've asked probably everybody along that protest line, that counter-protest line. Nobody would talk to me. And I was very polite. All I said was, do any of you want to give me your perspective? Answer is no. A couple of people came up to me and asked who I was with. I said, we're independent media. I was told, we don't talk to independent media. So isn't that interesting? They only want to talk to the mainstream media, which agrees with them. Fascinating.
So yeah, that was an interesting adventure on on the deep dive into the rainbow. As I walked along the line, it was very strange because as I approached people became uncomfortable. And people that didn't have masks on, they pulled them up over their face when they saw the camera. And people that did have masks on, they adjusted them to try and make sure it covered more of their face. And people wouldn't even speak. I would just say, does anybody want to share their perspective? And people were just shaking their heads. I would, walk into where the rest of them were and saw a couple people chatting and just went up to them and said, hey guys, do you want to share your perspective? And again, very uncomfortable, just shook their heads. And there was these two girls that came up behind me, and I think they thought I was from mainstream media. And they said, oh, well, who are you with? I said, oh, I'm from independent media. And they said, oh, well, we don't speak to independent media, and promptly walked away. So this was interesting. And, Fox had said something about this after I told her what happened.
I think that these people were organized, like they were part of either like a union or some sort of group that kind of oversaw, whereas the people on the parent side were just that. They were parents. It was very grassroots. It was parents. There were grandparents there. Again, not very many people on the parent side, probably about 24, and maybe about 50 to 70 on the other side, would you say?
Probably, yeah.
But I think they were organized. They were chanting slogans. They had some flags that I couldn't tell what they were from where I was standing, but they looked like they might have been like union flags. I think one was the teachers.
One was an Ontario Secondary School Teachers Federation flag.
Yeah. So they were definitely better organized in terms of, like, I don't think they were being paid, but they definitely belonged to something. It wasn't just random people coming to support. And there may have been a few random people there to support, but the bulk of them came from some sort of group or organization or something like that.
Yeah, because they were acting as a collective. So one of the other people that we've been speaking to, one of our viewers who was going to go out into the Winnipeg area, we were touching base with him later in the day, and he had the exact same experience. Nobody would want to talk to him. So, this is the frustrating part about this, right? It's you only make headway in a disagreement if there's dialogue. But the left isn't interested in having any discussion at all. They're only interested in shutting down discussion.
But they were happy to talk to the mainstream media that was there.
Right.
More than happy. I saw them doing it.
Because who is supportive of their cause? Well, the mainstream media. And who demonized all of the parents the first time around? The mainstream media. And it's so unfortunate.
It's disgusting. Like I said, we talked to pretty much every single parent or grandparent that was there because we were there for not the full thing, but we were there for a good chunk of time. And we had time to just go around and speak to people, what's your story? Why are you here? That sort of thing. And they were all there because they were concerned about their children. Not because they hate gay people or they hate trans people or anything like that. Those words never even came out of their mouths. It was just, I'm concerned about what my child's learning in school. I just want to keep my children safe. And as a mother, I can appreciate that.
So you had all these people, most of them were young on the counter-protester side that didn't want to say anything. But as Fox said, there were people on the parent side that were happy to talk to us. So here's what a couple of them had to say.
The agenda that the curriculum they're trying to introduce to children here in Canada and United States are just crossing the line of innocent mind and thoughts of children. And it's out of ignorance that it's happening. And we as parents, and we as not even as parents, just anybody who want to defend children that can't defend themselves, don't understand these things. I mean, there's a lot of things they don't understand. They're growing, their mind is still developing, and to introduce to them to something sexual, to things that are just beyond their comprehension, is just taking their rights. And we as a parents have the right to protect them. We can't be absent of their lives. You cannot ask us to be absent, because being absent is leaving a vulnerable child, an orphan child, and they're not orphaned. I'm not demanding, I'm not forcing on them. We're not taking away anything from them. If that's their lifestyle, that's their choice. We're not taking their will. God gives everybody a will to choose. But once you're enforcing something with children who have not developed their brain yet, and you're enforcing something against people's parents' rights, it's not a right of freedom. And I don't think our soldiers didn't die for that. They died for our freedom. And we have the choice to be free.
They don't have the capacity at that point, or the maturity to make adult decisions. And unfortunately, this is what the other group is trying to do. Now, not all LGBTQ people are like that, okay? They just want to live their lifestyle, but these people have gone too far.
Do either of you have any problem with LGBT people?
We don't have any problems with them. We don't hate them. We're not like forcing anything on them, but they believe in their own identity. We believe in our identity. These children, we need to stand for their identity, for who they are, and at home is where they get their identity. We are the first ones to be an example for them, and we have the right to do that. But forcing is just kind of like going back to other countries where they're just, dictatorship. And so I don't believe our soldiers died for that. I don't believe their sacrifice was in vain. And I don't think if they came today, if they were alive today and came and saw this, they'd say, well, why do we go to war for?
Again, just normal people who want what's best for their children. Cypher used an example in one of the videos we did last week or the week before, and I thought it was a really good example. And you guys know I went to school for veterinary medicine. So when I was in school, one of the things that we had to do in first year was dissect cats. Okay, perfectly normal thing for an adult to do in that kind of field. I know it would upset some people, but it was for learning, it was for medicine. Now, if I had done that, if I plopped down a cat in front of my kid and been like, okay, you have to dissect this and it's so you can learn, I would traumatize him for the rest of his life. Like mentally, he's not at that space where this is something for learning. It would destroy him. It would ruin his childhood and he'd be in therapy for the rest of his life. So there's something to be said for age appropriateness of things that you are teaching children.
Well, and again, we don't teach kids that Christianity is the way of the world. We don't teach them that in school. We don't teach them that Islam is the way of the world. We don't teach them that Hinduism is the way of the world. But we're teaching them that gender ideology is the way of the world.
And this is what happens when there's no religion. Now, Cypher and I are not particularly religious, but I think religion is very important. It brings people together. It gives you something to believe in. It gives you something higher than yourself that you should work towards. And I think that's very valuable for people. And in the complete absence of religion, this is what happens. You get this woke ideology that then becomes the religion.
It has all of the characteristics of a religion, right? It has books. It has the nebulous and evil, almost uncategorizable thing that is the devil. It has slogans. It has symbols. So it has a lot of the tenets of a religion. It's just a very perverse type of cult that they've turned it into. And we want to reiterate, most of the LGBTQ community are not on board with this. They're in fact against it. Why? Because these activists are rolling back all of the progress they've made in society because they fought so hard to just be accepted, and they were. They won. However, this is a problem because it's drumming up all of this anger towards this community. And it's not because of the fact that they're gay or the fact that they're trans. It's because you are trying to force that on our kids now. So that is where all of the animosity is coming. And that's why they're trying to say, oh, well, hate crimes against LGBT communities are up. Yeah, but you're not stating the context. Okay? And a protest is not a hate crime.
To conclude our time at the protest, we ran into a gentleman named Steve, a 70-year-old man that was just walking by and ended up getting accosted by the counter-protesters. This is what he told us.
I was just walking through because I haven't seen the signs yet of what the protest is about, and I get approached by somebody that's on the children's side as far as
The rainbow side.
yeah, I'm ignorant when it comes to that. I'll be honest. But I come in, I get approached by a female that says, I must pick sides. I says, I don't even know what it's about, so what am I picking sides for? She goes, well, you can't stand here. I said, I'm 70 years old, lived in this city all my life, and you're gonna tell me where I can stand and where I can't, and that I have to make a choice? I'm sorry, that don't work with me. Like, everybody just be civil and leave it at that. That's all I say. You know, everybody says you got to pick sides. No, this is not one for the public to take sides. It's for the government to get their head out of their ass and make things right. That's all I got to say.